Hey John, so really great response again. I liked your rambling. Some people might think rambling is bad, but I kind of like it because it opens up new areas of thought. And also, it reminded me of an INFP friend of mine. The mannerisms in which you ramble are pretty remarkably similar. Anyway, rather than go over every single topic that you covered in that video, because you covered a lot of things, I'm just going to go over the one that stuck out most in my mind, just for time issues. So I'll just go over one of the facets that really stuck out in my mind. And that part of the video was when you were talking about how when you have complementary types or types with inverse functions, for those of you just tuning in, that would be INTPs and ENTJs, or ESFPs and ISFJs, any pairing where the I and the E and the J/P are reversed in relation to each other. So yeah, when you were talking about how whenever these complementary type pairings occur, there's one that kind of wants to draw a fence around things and structuralize things, keep things nice and static, whereas the other type likes to will just kind of rip down those fences and ignore them and kind of bring in all sorts of things from outside. Why this stuck out in my mind was because this really rang true with a lot of my experiences with extroverted thinking dominants, ESTJs and ENTJs. One thing they can do is they can kind of be very rigid and static in the things they talk about, in the judgments they make. However, and by themselves, if you just look at the judgment in and of itself, it has, validity, some strength, some integrity. But but I see so much beyond just that surface judgment, the surface appearance, the objective situation. I see all sorts of invisible implications that could go into there that could mess up that judgment that the extrovert thinker a lot of times doesn't take into account. And in this sense, I feel like they are kind of making their own fence in this way in order to objectively define things neatly, whereas I kind of don't like dealing with that fence because I feel like it leaves out a bunch of things. So on to the all-important question that you asked, which is, for people who are watching this video, what can they really take away from this? With this inverse pairing or complementary type pairing, whatever you want to call it, we have both mentioned how you really need to be able to go beyond your own viewpoint and not be so, isolated in your viewpoint, cutting off other viewpoints. You have to really be open to other people's viewpoints in order to get along well with this type, in order for some real magic to happen between your interactions with them. Otherwise, there can be a lot of negatives involved with this type of pairing. And I guess that would just be my one, if there's just one piece of advice that was most significant in dealing with these pairings, it would just be to try to recognize whenever you are isolating your own viewpoint too much and not willing to go beyond it and take into account other viewpoints that might be drastically different or might cause friction with your viewpoint. And this can be a hard thing to do, but when you do it, you gain a greater perspective and your interactions with this type of pairing will be far more fruitful. And I'd also just like to make the point that that doesn't mean that when dealing with this pairing you have to just reject your type of viewpoint, your type of thinking. Just still keep that strong stance in your viewpoint. That's good, that's beneficial. But at the same time, you need to be able to be open to differing viewpoints, to the other person's viewpoint that is actually quite different than yours. So yeah, I really enjoyed this video interaction with you, John. Hopefully, or maybe sometime in the future, we can do another thing similar to this with a new topic. Yeah, so have a good day, everyone. I guess I'll be getting off. Goodbye.